What's up everybody, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here. Welcome back again to my YouTube channel, and it is finally time for me to present to you guys my pre-launch reroll guide for Final Fantasy VII evercrisis, as upon the making of this video, this game will be coming out very soon on September 7th, 2023. The information found on this video is compiled of my personal experience with the closed beta, as well as talking to some fantastic players and the community over on the evercrisis Discord, and as well as information from Meow's database. All the links down below for all those helpful resources will be linked in the video description as well as the pinned comments. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be breaking this reroll guide down into several different parts that I feel like are very relevant and important should you decide to reroll. So try not to skip ahead, but if you find one section more relevant to you than the other one, there are going to be timestamps in this video. So the first thing that I want to discuss is there going to be a delete account button, or are we going to go through the arduous process of having to delete the app and reinstall it for iOS users, or going into settings and deleting the data if you're an Android user? Well, the answer is yes. There is actually a delete account button. It was actually present during the closed beta, but it was actually just turned off. I was actually not aware of this, but there is a screenshot there that is displayed on the video. Thank you so much to the Discord member from the evercrisis Discord that provided me with a screenshot. But guys, there is a delete account button, which is going to be awesome because it's going to make the reroll process that much more smooth and a lot faster. The next thing that I want to talk about is the pre-registration rewards we currently have earned that will matter, or that will impact your reroll process. So upon the making of this video, this is going to be the pre-registration rewards that are going to be given to us. A total of 45 tickets. This will give you 4 standard ticket multi-draws and 5 standard ticket single draws. And the reason why I say that is that the tickets are only usable on the standard ticket draw banners. You can't use them on anything else, so just keep that in mind. We're also going to be getting 4,500 blue crystals. That equates to 2 multi-draws and 5 single draws. We're also going to be getting a 5-star weapon ticket. That's going to be giving us a 5-star weapon for either Cloud, Tifa, or Aerith. We're going to be getting that costume exchange ticket, which gives you a costume for one of the 9 characters that are going to be starting off in this game. We are also going to be gifted a 5-star Zwehander weapon for Zack, which is actually one of his better weapons, and also a 5-star Apology in Hell weapon for Glenn, which is also one of Glenn's better weapons. Now, there is a possibility of earning an additional 1,500 or so blue crystals if we hit that 1.7 million pre-registration milestone. I actually made an error on that on one of the videos that I released not too long ago. It's actually going to be based upon the amount of downloads, and we can earn up to potentially, I think they said like about 1,500 per player depending on the download. So if we get that additional 1,500, which I think we are, honestly, that's going to give us a total of 3 multi-draws instead of the 2 and the 5 single draws. But in case we don't, right now currently we're going to have enough crystals to do 2 multi-draws and 5 single draws just alone with the pre-registration rewards. Now, I'm going to be quite honest with you. You could literally just stop your reroll process with these rewards alone. Seriously, if the content is going to be very similar, which it should be, there shouldn't be too much of a difference in terms of like the content. If it's going to be the same as what it was in the closed beta at the start, all these rewards and these weapons and the tickets and everything, this should help you get through the game fairly easily at a decent pace without even having to pull on anything. I'm being totally honest right now. This is more than enough already. You don't have to use the crystals. You could just use the tickets if you want, and you still have a chance of getting a 5-star weapon for a character. So that's my honest opinion. However, if you want to continue the reroll process, we're going to go ahead and continue on with what's next that's important for the reroll process. So, which banners do you reroll on? There is only one type of banner that you should be considering to reroll on during the reroll process, and that is going to be the stamp banners. What are the stamp banners? Well, this is pretty much your rotational banners. They feature 2 weapons for 2 characters at a rate up, and it also features a costume for one of the featured characters. Every multi-draw you perform will grant you either 1, 2, 3, or 12 stamps. Single draws do not count towards this, so if you do 9 single draws and then 1 more to make it 10, it does not count. You have to do a multi-draw. Now, something that I want to throw out there is that the stamp system is pretty much like a step up. So you do a multi-draw and you get like a bonus. So we've seen this system before, for example, in like Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. War of the Visions has a similar system like this. So every time you do a multi, you get like a bonus reward. Each stamp grants a bonus reward. However, for the purposes of rerolling, stamp 6 and 12 are what matter the most for the reroll process. Stamp 6 guarantees you one of the 2 featured weapons, and you could actually pre-choose which weapon you want of the 2 that's featured beforehand. So you select the one that you want, and then afterwards, when you hit the 6 stamps, you are guaranteed that weapon. And finally, at stamp 12, it's going to reward you with a featured costume on the stamp banner. The percentages are as follows: 50% for 1 stamp, 40% for 2 stamps, 9% for 3 stamps, and 1% for 12 stamps. So what is the ideal reroll by knowing this information? Ideally, you want to reroll until you hit that 12 stamps. Some people are saying make it your first multi-draw to hit the 12 stamps. I think that's a little steep because it's at 1%. If you have to use what you can actually do maybe is, if you get lucky, let's say you do 2 multi-draws, because we do get 4,500 blue crystals from pre-registration. If you hit that 3 stamps twice, you already got the weapon. So if you're already content with a featured weapon, you don't necessarily have to go in right away for the costume. But if you want the most optimum start, in my personal opinion, you're going to want to go for that 12 stamps after hitting just 1 multi. It's pretty rare, but what you could theoretically do is, if you have a strong enough PC, you could use one of those emulators like BlueStacks or something like that and run multiple instances, and you could go with your reroll process that way. Up to you if you want to do that. Emulators are a little unstable in my opinion, but if you want it to be a lot faster, that's something that you can consider. But ideally, you want to do a multi and hit the 12 stamps, because you're going to get the weapon that you want that's featured, and as well as the costume, and the costumes give all sorts of very nice bonuses for the featured character. All right, so next, which stamp banners may be featured at launch? So the banners that were featured during the closed beta had Barret and Cloud. Barret had his micro laser at a rate up. Cloud had the Murasame at a rate up, and Cloud had his battle gear on the stamp rewards, which is the Murasame armor. The other banner had Matt and Glenn. Matt had his Killer Hornet featured, and Glenn had his Crew Kicker featured, and the featured battle gear or costume was Matt's killer attire. This is definitely subject to change, as these were the banners that were featured on the closed beta. These banners could potentially be present at the global launch alongside other potential stamp banners, or this could be the banners that we're getting. But if these are the banners that we're getting, I'm going to be honest with you, both of these banners are very good banners. I don't really think one is better than the other. Both Cloud and Matt, if you guys have watched my early tier list video that I did with a friend, both of those characters are top tier, S tier physical damage dealers. They are also very versatile because they also have access to a weapon that gives a powerful AoE heal. They both have utility. Cloud actually has access to a defense down debuff as well as a paralysis. So both banners honestly are very good. Barret and Glenn are also very strong characters. They are more of like your sub DPS that also have access to very cheap skills. They are the 2 only characters right now that have access to 2 of the cheapest skills in the game, and they also have utility with defense down. So both banners, in my opinion, are very strong. If these are the banners featured, either one will serve you well. All right, so there is also a wish list system that is present in the stamp banners, and if you really want to go deep and get like the perfect reroll, you definitely want to pay attention to the wish list system. So other gacha games do this, but what the wish list system does for evercrisis is that it allows you to set up 5 5-star weapons at a rate up. It's not going to be as high as the 2 featured, but it's going to be higher than the rest of the other 5 stars on the banner. And you ideally, in my personal opinion, want to focus on the 3 characters you plan to use the most early on. That way you'll have an easier time clearing content early on. However, later on, you may want to consider to change this, as story content will give you more rewards if you use the correct story character. So for example, if you're going through, let's say, the Crisis Core storyline, where most of the time you're going to be using Zack, you actually have the option to use other characters that are not a part of that story. However, if you use Zack, you actually get more rewards because it's his story. But so that's why I'm saying, like, later on for this wish list, you might want to consider diversifying and actually getting weapons for some of the other characters. But ideally, early on, you want to focus on 3 characters. And which weapons should you choose for which characters? Well, I'm going to keep it simple. If you care about meta right now, in terms of my tier list that I created, as well as some of the others, I know RNJ has a great tier list guide too, and we pretty much agreed on the S tier characters. You want to go for Cloud, Aerith, and Matt. I'm just going to keep it simple like that. For Cloud, I would definitely either go with the Apocalypse, Crystal Sword, or Hard Edge. The reason why I say that is with Cloud, you actually get access to his 5-star Buster Sword. There's a quest line where you could upgrade his Buster Sword all the way to 5-star, and it's a pretty decent weapon. And we also get that 5-star weapon ticket where we could get a 5-star weapon for Cloud. So if you choose Apocalypse, he's going to gain even greater physical attack damage. Crystal Sword gives him an AoE heal, so he could act as like a sub-healer or even a main healer potentially. And then Hard Edge gives him that defense down debuff that he could apply on enemies, so then that way your actual main DPS could deal more damage. So those are the options I would go with Cloud. And then afterwards, the second and third weapon slots, I would definitely go with Aerith's Fairy Tail. Best healing weapon in the game, hands down. And then give her either the Wizard, Wiser, or Silver Staff because it gives her access to AoE magic, and she actually does some pretty powerful AoE magic attacks. So definitely you want to go for those weapons for Aerith. And then finally, for Matt, Killer Hornet and Broadsword Axis. Matt actually right now is currently the strongest damage dealer in terms of physical damage and like boss nuking capabilities in the game. Now, if an enemy is weak to the lightning element, and let's say you plan on going for Cloud's Murasame, then Cloud actually out DPSs him. But from testing both characters out, Matt, because he doesn't have an element attached to those two weapons and they both have extremely high damage modifiers, he's actually ahead of Cloud just by a little bit when it comes to physical damage. So those are going to be my recommendations for the wishlist system. And finally, the last portion of the reroll guide that I want to go over is have fun, guys, and play your favorites. While this is intended to help people out in getting started, for those that are unsure, if you already know which characters you want to build, if you want to build your favorites, if one of your favorites doesn't happen to be the top tier character, but you just love that character, build that character. Because it's all about having fun, and I'm going to be honest with you guys right now, you can use whoever you want. From my experience, I got through a pretty good portion of the game with some difficult content during the closed beta. I wasn't even really using Cloud. I was maining Lucia. And Lucia is not a top tier character. She's a solid character, but she ain't top tier, and I was doing just fine. So have fun, play your favorites, but this is going to go ahead and conclude my pre-launch reroll guide for Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. Hopefully it helps you guys in preparation for the upcoming launch for Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. Thank you guys again for watching. This is 40 the Broadway Saiyan signing out. Stay blessed, everybody.